What's going on, guys? This is Brandon from Advancement Hockey Advising here, and today we'll be talking about good versus bad hockey coaches and how you can go about choosing the one that's going to be the best fit for you and the one that's going to best help you succeed. But before we dive into the video here, as always, just a quick reminder to absolutely smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and share the video if you like the content. Also, if you have any questions throughout the entire video here at any time, if you want to talk to us about anything, feel free to drop a comment down below or email us at info@ahadvising.com and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And like with every video we have here, there's going to be timestamps throughout the video. So if you want to go click on a specific section, you can. But also if you want to just watch the entire video, you can too. It's completely up to you. All right, so let's dive right in here. So why do we make this video? Well, the biggest thing is, from experience, and probably you guys know this too, is that not all coaches are created equal, right? Some are really amazing professionals that are going to help you excel and succeed, while others are kind of mediocre, aren't the best and are really going to hold you back. So with that being said, it's really important for you to, choose the right one that's the best fit for you, to choose the one that's really going to help you excel, because having the right coach in your corner is probably one of the most important decisions you're going to make, right? Having a good family advisor is important, but having a good coach, the coach is going to talk to you even more than the family advisor probably. So having a really good coach in your corner is super, super important. So knowing how to choose, knowing the criteria you need to look for, knowing what's a good coach and what's a bad coach, knowing all this is really, really important, right? And that's the whole goal of this video here. We want to just kind of, give you all the different things to look for, and all the things that good coaches portray and what bad coaches portray as well, just so you can make the best informed decisions. So when it comes to making good decisions here, the biggest thing to remember here is to really, first of all, think critically, do your research on the coaches, and also trust your gut, right? Your gut tells you a lot when it comes to choosing, if a person is the right fit or if something else is the right fit, anything like that. Trusting your gut after you do your research and you think critically is really, really important, right? A lot of us kind of get swayed by nice words sometimes, right? Some coaches might promise you this, promise you that, right? But it's easy to just kind of make a decision on a whim, and I would say it's probably not the best idea. It's good to talk to the coach, get a sense of it, but then go ahead and do your research. Ask players their unbiased opinions that have played for the coach. Ask other coaches that know this coach if you can. Really do your research. Go online, look up the coach and do all this. And this is really, really important. That way you'll be informed when making a decision, and you won't just go off of one conversation with a coach, right? It's really important that you pick the right one and that you do all this. Now, as to what to look for, that's the whole point of this video here, and we're going to dive into the different aspects right now. All right, so the first aspect we want to look for here in a coach is just having, good overall chemistry with them. Chemistry is super, super important, right? You have to be compatible with this coach for them to be a right fit for you. If the chemistry doesn't feel right, then I would say just shy away from that coach, right? The chemistry is probably the most important thing, I would say, when it comes to, having the right fit between a player and a coach. Now, how do you know if you have good chemistry with a coach? Well, usually your gut can tell you, but even more specifically, what I like to do is just to ask myself a series of questions here. With the first one being, is this person someone that I want to be associated with, that others know that I'm associated with, right? If my gut's like, I'm not sure, or I don't really think so, it's not really someone I want to be associated with, that others know I'm associated with, then I would say probably, shy away from that coach. Is probably not the right fit for you if you don't want others to know that you're associated with them. The next question I ask is just like, do I feel energized or drained after talking to this person, right? If the answer is, gut instinct saying, I'm really energized, I'm really feeling good after this person, that's a really good sign. If it's more like, I kind of feel drained after talking to this person, I don't really feel too good, can't pinpoint it, but I don't feel great, then that's an indicator that the chemistry might not be right. So that's another big one, I would say. And the last question that I ask myself here is, does this coach and this overall program, do they have my best interest in mind as a player, right? If it's really important that they have your best interest in mind and that they're not, just signing you for an ulterior motive or anything like that. It's really important that they really want you to succeed. And if your gut is just kind of like, I don't know if they have my best interests in mind, if they just want to sign me for money or whatever it is, it's really important to trust your gut in that sense, and do more research if you're not sure. All right, so moving on from chemistry here to our next thing to look for, and these two are kind of related, but this one's a little bit different, and that is professionalism. I think professionalism, the way the coach carries himself, is super, super important, right? You want to be associated with a professional. You want a professional, taking the reins when it comes to leading a team, right? You don't want, someone mediocre. You really want someone that carries himself professionally. So a question that I ask myself is, how do they carry themselves, right? How do they dress? How do they look? How do they present themselves to other people? If, it's kind of not great or whatever, it's not always a deal breaker, but if they're really unprofessional in many ways, then that's a sign of a bad coach and probably something you want to avoid. But if they dress well, if they carry themselves well, if others around them respect them, and if they respect their players and all that kind of stuff, if they're just pure professionals, that's a really, really good sign. That means they really take, their career seriously, and that they're really gonna, help you become a professional as well, and they're going to help you succeed. So it's really important. Also, what do the facilities of the program look like? What does the locker room look like? Is it clean? What does the website look like? What do the social media posts look like for that organization? All that kind of stuff is really, really important, right? Because it shows how much pride they take in their organization and how much pride the coach takes in his overall program. So it's really important, that they behave in a professional way and that they carry themselves well. If they do, sign of a great coach. If they don't, then, some red flags to watch out for. All right, so the next thing to look for here, and this one again is related to chemistry and professionalism a bit, but it's a little bit different, and that is number 3, the coach's attitude and mindset, right? You want a coach that has a solid attitude and mindset. Any coach that doesn't, toss that out the window. Do not go to that coach. The leader of the team has to have a good mindset. They have to be a winner, right? Do they have a winning mindset? Are they optimistic? Do they, crumble under pressure, or do they kind of rise to the occasion? All these things are very, very important. A coach with a good mindset will, in turn help you develop that great mindset as well. And vice versa, a bad coach with a bad mindset, a bad attitude will kind of make you become cynical, pessimistic, and all this, and not, have a growth mindset and all this stuff. So it's really, really important that these coaches have a winning mindset, that they're winners, and they really want their program to succeed, and they always have, a very good attitude about everything. Very, very important, how they carry themselves and all this kind of stuff. So that's important. Also, touching again on the professionalism thing, a big way to see this too is, how does the team behave too? If you see the players kind of have a pessimistic attitude along with the coach, that's not a great sign. But if they're all optimistic, if they're all on the same page, all this kind of stuff, this is really important. Does everyone respect each other? All that kind of stuff. All these points here all point to, the leader's attitude, mindset, and how they carry themselves. So all of this is really important, and it's a great sign to see if it's a good coach or if it's a bad coach. All right, and the 4th thing to look for in a coach here is the coach's level of honesty, right? Are they someone that's just completely honest with you? Or are they someone that's kind of, stretching the truth or painting you an unrealistic dream and all this stuff, right? You want the coach that's going to be honest. Obviously, the truth and honesty isn't always the thing that we want to hear, but, good coaches know this, and they deliver the truth in a way that's respectful, in a way that's going to help you listen and help you improve, right? Those are the coaches that you really want to look for, that have your best interests and that are always truthful to you, even if it does hurt sometimes. So that's really important. The bad coaches that you don't want to look for are the ones that, kind of paint you a really unrealistic dream. So for an example, if an NA3HL coach, comes to you, that let's say you're a 19-year-old hockey player with 1 or 2 years of juniors left, and they say, I'm going to develop you this year, and you're going to become, a top D1 prospect, and you're probably going to commit, I'm guaranteeing you a commit to, Boston University, North Dakota, all this kind of stuff, if you come and play for my program. Well, right there, that's, very, very unrealistic. It's probably never going to happen, right? But, some coaches do stretch the truth, probably not to that degree, but a little bit more than they should, and Why do they do this? Well, it's kind of obvious that most teams, the more players they get signed on board, the more money the team makes, right? Because most teams are pay to play programs, so you'll see that, especially in the lower tier programs, you will see that sometimes. So really be careful of coaches not being honest with you, painting you an unrealistic dream just to try and get you to sign. So this is something to be aware of. But the good coaches never really lie like that. They never really stretch the truth. They really tell you how it is, and that's what you want to look for in a coach. All right, and the fifth thing to look for in a coach here is their playing experience, right? You want typically a coach that has extensive playing experience, that's really played at a high level. I would say if your goal is to go play NCAA hockey or college hockey of any sort, or go play pro hockey one day, well, you want a coach that at least played at the junior level, that typically, hopefully they played at the collegiate level, but sometimes junior A is fine too, as long as they have a good experience in high enough level hockey, right? Because the problem is that if they don't have this experience, usually they can't really know all the nuances and all the different parts of the game that you learn as you play the game at a higher level. There are exceptions to this. I do know a few coaches, especially, example, Bob Hartley, that played in the NHL, never really played at a high level of hockey. I do know a few that haven't played at a high level and that are great coaches. That being said, though, more often than not, the coach needs to play at a high level to really be competent and know what they're talking about. Also for, the players to respect them too. I know coaches that the players didn't really respect just because they didn't play at a high level, even though they did know what they were talking about. So I would say, to make your life easier, more often than not, you want to look for a coach that has, good playing experience, that play at a decently high level, and that can just help you, they're just going to help you develop and succeed that much better. So that definitely something to really look out for. All right, and the sixth factor here that you can look out for is the track record of the coach, right? Do they have a good track record or do they have a bad track record? Luckily, this is a very easy one to answer with a bit of research. You go on eliteprospects.com and it'll tell you all about the coach's history, their stats, and everything, right? If the coach has a very good track record of multiple years and a track record of winning and potentially even winning championships and stuff like that, that's a great sign. That means the coach, and not only the coach, the program has that overall winning mindset that we talked about previously, right? It means that they know how to win, and that if you go there, you're gonna have that same mindset. You're gonna know how to win too, and it's just gonna help you develop that much better as a hockey player. So that's one great thing to look out for. The bad coaches are the ones that if you see on their elite prospects, they bounce around a lot, they haven't really won anything, and all that kind of stuff. Now, the one exception to this is coaches that are just starting out, right? You can't, if the coach has not that much coaching experience, well, that can potentially be another red flag. But let's say they're a good coach, they check all the other boxes, they're just a bit newer, right? Don't really look at their track record at that point, because usually the newer coaches take on programs that are a bit newer as well, and that might be, or maybe they're older programs but they're kind of at the bottom, right? Usually new coaches don't go with programs that are straight to the top because they're already doing well and they usually don't need a new coach. But anyways, that aside, don't really look at the track record in that case if it's a new coach. I would say, it doesn't really give a good indicator of how good they are or not. But if it's a coach that's been in it for a while, their track record really does show, how good they are at their job. So I would say a big thing to look out for to determine between a good coach and a bad coach that's going to be good for you. And the last thing to look out for that I would say is if the coach wants you, right? The coach could be the best coach in the world, could check all the other boxes, but if they don't really want you, if they're a bit indifferent about you signing with their program and stuff, I would say it's not even worth pursuing. Even if the coach is, renowned as the best coach of all time, let's say, not worth pursuing if they don't really want you. Because if they don't want you, even if they're great, they're not really going to put you in positions to succeed. They're not going to really be that invested in your development that much, So I would say, you're probably not going to develop at the same rate as if you go with a coach that, let's say, quote unquote, isn't as high value or isn't as good, let's say, but that really wants you. He's going to make it his mission to really develop you, to put you in all the situations for you to develop experience and all this stuff and play a lot, and that's really going to help you in your development. So I would say definitely go for a coach that really wants you. That's the biggest key that you can take away from this video. I would say go for coaches that want you and that really love the way you play. Now, how do you know if a coach wants you? Typically, it's quite obvious. I would say, look for things like their response time. If it's quick, usually that means that they probably want you. If they respond a bit slower, they don't respond at all, chances are that they're not really that interested. There are exceptions to this, of course, but I would say that this is usually something to go by. If they communicate to you first, right? If they're often asking you, how you're doing, how's your summer program doing, or throughout the season, they ask you your opinions on things and all that stuff, that's a good sign. If they're often communicating with you first. And the last thing too, most coaches are pretty honest and they'll just tell you like, hey, I really want you. Hey, I see you in this spot in my lineup. Hey, I really see you as a guy that can make an impact in our program next year. If they say things like that, that means they really want you, and that's a great sign. So again, take home message for this point here. Go for a coach that really wants you. No matter how great the coach is, if they don't want you, it's not really worth it. So go for a coach that wants you in their program. All right, so I know we just went over a lot of concepts here, so we're gonna just do a quick recap of the most important points. So first off, I can't stress how essential it is for you to pick the right coach for your development as a player, right? It's super important, right? Picking the right coach really goes a long way, and you need to know what to look for to pick the right coach, right? Which is why we made this video. And while you're going through all the different criteria here of what to look for, I would say it's really important to think critically, right? Do your research with everything, and from there, really trust your gut when picking the coach. All right, now for the things to look for, what specifically? Well, the first thing I want to start with is chemistry. Next is professionalism. Third is a solid attitude and mindset. Fourth is honesty. Fifth is extensive playing experience. Sixth is a good track record. And seventh, and finally, probably the most important, is that the coach really wants you. All right, guys, that is it for the video. If you enjoyed it, if you haven't already, feel free to absolutely smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and share the video. Throughout the video here, if you had any questions, if you want to talk about anything whatsoever related to hockey or anything in particular, feel free to drop a comment down below if you haven't already, or email us at info@ahadvising.com and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Also, if you want to learn more about us, if you want to check out our other platforms, there's a link down in the description below that you can click, and it'll give you access to our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, our newsletter, our website, all the different things that we're up to. So if you want to have access to that, click the link in the description below. And that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you on that next one.